Ben & Jerry's posted on Twitter and Instagram some anti-American content, and people, of course, absolutely obliterated them because not only did they post anti-American content, but they also posted it on the 4th of July on Independence Day. And now Ben & Jerry's is also losing billions of dollars as well, as their public perception overall is going completely downhill, as if it wasn't already bad. I mean, a lot of people already knew that Ben & Jerry's was an absolute joke, especially the people who run Ben & Jerry's, but now everyone knows about it. Now everyone knows that Ben & Jerry's is very anti-America. And people don't put up with this stuff anymore, man. You see it with the Bud Light boycott. This stuff works now. You know, people have confidence in the fact that they can get stuff to change with boycotts by voting with their dollar. We see it with the Bud Light situation. Bud Light is down 30% in their sales week over week in comparison to last year. So, I mean, that's insane. That's extremely successful. That's a really, really successful boycott, and it looks like Ben & Jerry's might have the same thing happen to them. The only reason why I think Ben & Jerry's might not be as bad as Bud Light is because pretty much everybody who is really into this stuff has already stopped eating Ben & Jerry's. I already stopped supporting Ben & Jerry's because a lot of people already knew how bad Ben & Jerry's was. Let me know in the comments if you knew before or if you just found out how just anti-American Ben & Jerry's are. But as you can see, this article from Outkick, Ben & Jerry's parent company loses billions in stock value after woke 4th of July tweet. Ben & Jerry's parent company, Unilever, I think is how you pronounce it, has taken a hit after the ice cream brand's dumb 4th of July message. While most Americans were busy celebrating Independence Day and crushing beers, the woke ice cream company was busy claiming America exists on stolen land that should be returned to Native American. Ben & Jerry's board is allowed to operate independently of Unilever and is free to push whatever political message it wants, according to the New York Post. The company went full Bud Light, and the backlash was immaculate. Many people on social media vowed to never buy it again. I think you should all do the same, man. It's not that difficult. It's kind of similar to Bud Light in that the product just isn't that undeniable. It's already really bad for you. You shouldn't really be eating ice cream all that much anyway. So to stop buying Ben & Jerry's is just not that difficult. It's the same thing with Bud Light. Like, beer, alcohol is bad for you anyway. The Bud Light product just isn't an undeniably good product, so there's no point in even buying it if you don't agree with the message, if you don't like the branding. Just stop buying Ben & Jerry's, stop buying Bud Light, stop buying all these woke products, man. It's not that difficult. Ben & Jerry's parent company takes a stock hit. Well, it appears Unilever is feeling the heat. The company's total value dropped $2.5 billion on the stock market since Ben & Jerry's 4th of July antics, according to the New York Post. The company's stock was at 52.28 when the market closed Monday. It's currently 51.25 as early as Thursday afternoon. That's a nearly 2% decline. It's nothing like the collapse people have seen out of Anhueser Busch's stock, and the company's total market cap is still at $133 billion. Well, if you think back to the beginning of the Bud Light situation, a lot of people were saying that the boycott was a complete failure because the stock didn't drop as much as people thought it was going to. But over time, we started seeing sales numbers come out. We started seeing the sales drop off, which in turn made the stock drop whenever the sales dropped off, and that also caused people to start talking about it more on social media. That caused the conversation to get wider and wider as the sales got worse and worse, which spread it to more people, and now the Bud Light brand is completely ruined. So the same thing could happen. I'm not going to say that it's going to be on the same scale as the Bud Light situation, but the same thing could happen to the Ben & Jerry's situation. The fact that there was any sort of decline shows that there are people who are very outraged over what Ben & Jerry's tweeted. And at the very least, I mean, even if the stock doesn't drop all that much, at least everybody will know the truth about Ben & Jerry's now. At least the mask off is completely now, and everybody knows the truth about who Ben & Jerry's really is. Here is one of the Instagram posts from yesterday regarding the stolen land that Ben & Jerry's was talking about. This 4th of July, it's time we recognize that the U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land and commit to returning it. Learn more and take action, and in the link in our bio. It's just ridiculous. Like, this whole notion of stolen land and how we should give it back to the indigenous people, it's just so ridiculous, man. Every single country other than like maybe two, I think people said Iceland and one other, is truly like not stolen. Like the people who were originally there have stayed there forever, and nobody has stolen it, nobody has conquered it. For the most part, every single country out there has been conquered probably multiple times, and people celebrate great conquerors like Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great. Somebody left a great comment, shout out to you if you're watching this video, on my video last time we talked about this Ben & Jerry's situation. Nobody remembers Alexander the Mediocre. Like, we celebrate Alexander the Great. We learn about him in history books because his name is Alexander the Great. So I don't think that we should be sad. I don't think that we should feel bad about conquering land and coming out victorious. I just disagree. I don't think we should be conquering land the same way we used to nowadays, obviously. I think we live in a much more civilized age, but back then, that's just how things worked. That's how you got land. That's how you spread your civilization. That's just how things worked back then, and I don't feel bad about it. We came out on top, and it is what it is. The company also shared a video targeting Mount Rushmore. Yes, Mount Rushmore. So Ben & Jerry's also tweeted about how bad Mount Rushmore is. I'm not going to play you the video just for time's sake, but it also says, this 4th of July, it's high time we recognize that the U.S. exists on stolen indigenous land and commit to returning it. So it's the same caption with a different video, this time about Mount Rushmore. I don't really care about the actual content. Let's get back to the billions of dollars that Ben & Jerry is losing their parent company. However, it does appear Ben & Jerry is going fully woke for America's birthday at a minimum. Didn't go unnoticed. It's not anything like the disaster Anhueser Busch has been experiencing, but a dip is a dip. It's not a headache any company wants to deal with. I mean, it's true. I think any company that's undergoing some kind of backlash like this, some kind of boycott, whether it's, strong initially or not, is going to be shaking in their boots a little bit, especially after the whole Bud Light situation. I think Bud Light caused a lot of people, especially during Pride Month, we saw it. A lot of companies had their Pride logos up for one day, like the MLB, and then took it down on day 2 of Pride Month. I think Bud Light, the whole Bud Light boycott is really showing people, if you go that way, there is a chance that you'll lose 30% of your sales in comparison to this same week last year. Like that same thing could happen to you if you platform people like Dylan Mulvaney. If you do the same thing as Bud Light, I think Ben & Jerry's is probably pretty scared right now. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments about this whole Ben & Jerry's situation.